the story last episode. What seemed like a generally peaceful turn, most of the countries trying to recover from some rather widespread religious disorder. Well, most of that disorder has been quelled. The English are starting to convert their country to Protestantism. There isn't any really state-based Protestantism, even in the small German states, not really. At least no coalescence of it, but there's a lot of unrest, even in places like Spain. There was a big famine. Let's see what else happened. Turkey added Transylvania and Bohemia. I don't know if they had Transylvania before. Austria, these are vassalizations, vassalized Hungary. Spain still hasn't incorporated the Aragonese territories. And we're on Charles I. And Ferdinand's in Austria. So, I don't... Was Charles over there as well? I think maybe. I don't know. But anyway, these don't really align correctly. The Turks took out Naxos and Serbia. They're still struggling with religious unrest, as is Spain, really. Other countries have things in better shape. Spain suffered another set of bankruptcy, which is dunking them further in the toilet. You can see they're down with France. Turkey is sort of running away with things, but surprise of all, Poland has really kind of regained, they're in second place victory point wise and look like a functioning country again. So, you know, one of the things to learn is that you can kind of recover your position in this game. England, on the other hand, who was really kind of rocking things, well, when they got ganged up on by France and Spain, they have not really recovered from that in terms of prestige. But they have an okay nation, you know. Their income's not great, but their trade value is good. And they're switching over to Protestantism. Yes, there's some religious issues. Both they and France sort of challenged their economies by building up large navies. Not enough to get the general goal, but both enough to get their national goal to have a large navy. And to get them quite a ways on the way. However, France and Spain are both in heavy debt. So is Turkey, although Turkey may have a little bit more cash. And they have such a big realm that they produce a lot of money. A lot of people are going to have to, you know, still work on their stability issue, though, and that's kind of that's. And when I say stability, I don't just mean this value. I mean their national stability. Hey, how much unrest do they have? How many problems do they have? A country that's in the best shape is probably Poland with this regard. Austria, England is being remarkably resilient. They shouldn't be in this good a shape, given what they did in terms of turning Protestant. But the Austrians are holding up and look to be in pretty good shape too, considering that the Reformation should have been happening all over them and seems to instead be centered kind of more to the west and the north, at least the initial stages of it. We got people starting to change religion as well as the nations are starting to try to unify the religions that they're in charge of. I don't know. Anyway, I like to get those in, this sort of prequel in before the night that, you know, I finish up or whatever. That way we can start on a clean slate tomorrow and for the first time, we're going to draw the event cards tomorrow, or on this video. Maybe we do it now. Why don't we do it now? Why not? Let's see what we got here. Looked like pasta coventa. Pacta coventa. Invalidate the agreement. I don't know what this is. It has to do with Poland. Poland gains two monarch power, but loses 2 stability, add 3 military, 3 unrest to Polish towns. The player of this gains a military. Or they can succumb to the Sejm, that's their parliament. Poland loses 2 prestige and $10 and must exhaust 6 armies. They may remove an unrest, and the player who plays this gains a diplomacy, and they get Sigismund III, who is definitely a reduction. Okay. Some thoughts. I see August on there, and I think Augustus the Strong, but I don't think so. Okay. Boy, my eyes and brain are not working right. Janissaries demand pay. This is going to give us a shitty ruler for Turkey. Pay troops now. Ottomans must add unrest to any town in a hostile area. I'm guessing that's 1 unrest to 1 town in a hostile area. But maybe not. Ottomans must add unrest to any town in a hostile area. Well, I don't want to say town because that sounds like a singular term, and I'm not sure this is. That's the question. In a hostile area where they have, there's no S after it, but I don't know how you pluralize, where they have Ottoman units, or pay money equal to half their tax income if unable to. What is their tax income? Is that their base tax income? I don't know. They gain one military if they have the tertios janissaries idea. Okay. Refuse the demands. If the Ottomans have tertios janissaries, they lose a stability. The player who plays this gains a diplomacy. Remember, the player who plays this gets to choose what the Ottomans do. And I feel like that's weird. Okay? That's a function in the game that I really don't like, is that, sure, you know, if you get the opportunity to make that choice first, but let's say you're Austria or whatever, you have the capability to force the Ottomans to make a choice, to make a specific choice of your choosing, right? That feels wrong. I don't know. Dutch declare independence. Yeah, we've been waiting for this one. And this is going to trigger the Balkan War. Add unrest to all Dutch core provinces and place orange. That's going to be dynamic NPR. Below them, place orange on all remaining Dutch core provinces. Prefer Amsterdam as the capital. Netherlands leaves the HRE. Okay, now notice that Flanders has already left, but that wouldn't have necessarily had to have happened. And the emperor loses an imperial prestige if at least 3 provinces join the DNPR. 5 armies, rebel armies, appear in the Netherlands if there's at least 1 unrest there. Okay. Interesting. What we're not seeing here is anything like religious unrest or anything. What we're seeing here is simply the economic tensions that drove the Dutch revolt. It's kind of interesting because the two kind of correlated together. In fact, one of the biggest gripes about the Spanish rule was the imposition of the Inquisition. Now, Spain doesn't have the Inquisition. Spain is suppressing things. Would the Netherlands have broken away from Spanish rule anyhow? It's hard to tell. Another interesting thing is we haven't seen any card. So historically, it was the Austrians who inherited this territory. the Burgundian inheritance. We have not seen a card yet, and that transferred it to Charles V. It moved from Austria to Spain because Charles V inherited the Austrian crown, I guess, and the Spanish crown, and for that matter, the remains of the Burgundian inheritance. If Austria had actually inherited this territory, as they did historically, it would still be Austrian, and it would not have converted over to Spanish. So I may have done the right thing by having the Spanish be the ones who married in there. That whole situation of the culmination of so many inheritances, and you know, it's Aragon, Castile, Leon, but that's part of Castile more or less. The Burgundian inheritance, Austria, Bohemia, Hungary, all of that converged under one man. And then how that was, and you know, Aragon includes Naples, you know, as a separate inheritance. This was just this construction of dynastic power that ended up in a singular, you know, Palmov bib or whatever, in a singular person who just inherited everything. And there's nothing in the game that's representing that. Nothing. And it would be really difficult to do correctly, right? Because if you allowed realms to merge, kind of like a Blood Royale type thing, although that doesn't really allow it either. But if you allowed realms to merge, except through conquest, if you allowed realms to merge, well, Austria and Spain didn't stay merged, right? But if you had enough players or enough marriages or whatever, you know, if you were playing the EU computer game and had many, many players on board at the same time, like Hungary stopped being Hungary, Bohemia stopped being Bohemia. These all merged into singular realms. Austria, Hungary, Bohemia all turned into one realm. Spain, the Burgundian alliance, which originally, like I said, was in Austria's hands, you know, how things got intertwined and untangled then afterwards in terms of two Habsburg rulers in Europe is something that seems, you know, not fixed. When you come in at 1444, at the beginning of this scenario, that certainly is not already in the cards. It's not locked in. And the question of whether or not, you know, Charles would give his successor, Ferdinand could have, I'm sorry, Philip, right? No, Ferdinand. I can't remember. Philip. Ferdinand's the future emperor, or the emperor currently now, but Philip could have inherited the same inheritance that Charles inherited. Of course, Philip had too much on his hands as it was between Spain, the Netherlands, and the New World. But, you know, I mean, there's no reason why the Habsburg lands in Germany couldn't have also been inherited by him. That was really kind of a chance thing, right? Just like the marriage conjunction was a chance thing, the whole idea of like Charles abdicating the imperial throne early and remaining king of Spain was a weird thing. The French are shifting their mission focus, moved from the imperial conflicts. They could have gone up to the Low Countries. They're pulling the Italian ambitions back again because this isn't imperial. I can kind of interfere in that stuff without the same problems that I had. Now, Savoy is still imperial, but Piedmont part of it is not, which is kind of weird because Savoy technically would be imperial, but if Piedmont somehow becomes separated from Savoy through other means, what's really weird is that Savoy is like barely connected at all. But anyway, and then I took the Guinea coast. I could have also gone for North America. I'm gonna start making a move on the exploration side of things. I think I'm gonna be able to do that without spending a hell of a lot of money. I have a lot of cubes. This gives a lot of money. And then I drew some administrative and a single diplomacy card. I threw out most of it. I had a second development card. I don't really want that. And a man of the church, which again, that's going to allow me to return to Catholicism there and solve some of my religious problems. Is holding their same goals. They drew a couple of admins, again, to deal with religious issues. I actually gave some things up. I held on to a commercial growth, which actually has a really good advisor on it if I wanted cubes. I got rid of 2 technology things. Now, I could reapportion cubes so that I could have gotten one of 2 things with this. So, with revolutionary ideals, I could have grabbed the Inquisition, which would be very helpful to me. However, I kind of feel like I need my military to quell some of the unrest, but maybe I'm making a mistake there. Maybe instead of the commercial growth, I really can't hold all of these. The other choice would be study technology, which I don't have a spy network. That's the French. By the way, I could see these cards having to be discarded on a bankruptcy. They don't, but I could see that happening. You target an opponent adjacent to your realm. You know, I think I screwed this up. It specifies none of your opponents gain any prestige for having the idea before you. I think I used them elsewhere for that. The only person I could play this against is the French, and I could get the scientific revolution. That allows the research action to be cheaper, down to 4, but it doesn't help with these cards, which is the most usual way that I do things. I think actually I'm going to hold both of these admin cards and make some choices as I go. Yeah, I'm short on money, and holding an extra card is expensive, but I think it's for the best, and I may just do that shift and do the technology for the Inquisition, because I don't have any military problems right now. I should start curing my unrest, but I also have to do something about the religious issue. I'm not thrilled with their choices. They kept their continental possessions because I'm working my way towards them, right? I also grabbed Settle in America. If somehow I can get the discovery of the New World, yeah, good luck. That would help me. Most of my options are just ugly. So, for example, I have one to conquer the British Isles, which is the next one. Well, if I'm already busy working on the ones that I've already invested in, taking the British Isles seems like an expensive choice. So I didn't want to go with that. I could have gone for a bigger navy, but that would require me spreading my trade ships out all over the place. It could be useful, but maybe not. I just don't feel like I'm in the position to do that yet. And then I drew a diplomatic card, which I threw away. It was a counter-espionage. With how low I am, nobody's going to espionage me. But I did keep the 2 administrative cards. Now, I probably don't have enough cubes to do both of these. One is a revolutionary idea. I may take the Inquisition myself and enforce, you know, a very, very strict, must stick to Protestantism type of mechanism in play. I also grabbed commercial growth. Now, these are just good for developing my economy, and that's strong positive. The Settle in America increases the English Channel trade zone. You know, I could have looked before I picked this and picked this instead or something. I think I'm happy with what I grabbed, but it would have given me at a cheaper cost, but later in the game, and I would rather make that a bigger commercial enterprise. On the way to Austria, I realized they did not score their King Albert's legacy, so I'm going to do that now. I've got 5 or more Hungarian provinces, but that gives me a claim or 2 cubes adjacent to one of these provinces. We had some discussion about that already. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. I think it's any of the provinces, not necessarily the ones that I'm associated with. But I'm going to just take the claim and oh, you know, I already did this, didn't I? That's how I got my claim to Serbia. I think I probably gave him the points. I think I just didn't record the, I didn't move the thing. In Austria, I'm trying to see something else. I don't know about this one, but I'm still hoping that I can go counter-reform. Defend the empire. This one's kicked around for a while. This is really hard. There's a few things. First of all, I own none of the provinces listed, but also no HRE provinces owned by non-HRE opponents. Well, that would mean a war with France. The Netherlands is going to break off. That'll help. But Bohemia, now they're not owned. They're vassalized, so that's safe. So the fact that Franche-Comté, I would basically have to go to war with France. That would get me maybe Franche-Comté, and then I could make a move on Holstein, which maybe I could dominate away from Denmark somehow, but I'm not sure. The problem is the Iron Crown of Italy looks really attractive. I'm almost there. 5 or more provinces in Lombardy, Central Italy, or Naples. Well, I have 4 of the 5. However, this requires that the other one be used. So it's really an ugly situation. With the Balkans opening up, and I think we actually have a, yeah, the Dutch independence says that is going to happen this turn. So I'm perhaps in a position where I want to exert my influence down there instead. Other things are not so good either. So Burgundian, Flanders, Netherlands, yeah, that's not going to happen. The Holy League. Have an alliance with the Papal States and another Catholic realm outside the HRE. Be at war with a Muslim realm and occupy 2 or more of the provinces. That's possible. That's possible. Don't know. And I can draw cards and make my decision based on that. The fate of Hungary. Own or vassalize all provinces in 2 or more of Royal Hungary, Hungarian Plain, or Transylvania. That requires 2B. I think 2B, or not 2B, is indeed the one I have. So that sounds pretty good. We've already won. 2 or more of Royal Hungary, Hungarian Plain, or Transylvania. I think if I take this, I can't fire it off right away. But yeah, I mean, it almost seems like that other one insists that you can get this one. Adriatic ports own 4 or more ports facing the Adriatic Sea. I own none. I have a vassal. That's going to be pretty hard. Dominate the Balkans. Own or vassalize 6 or more provinces of Dalmatia, Croatia, and Bosnia, Serbia, Albania, Wallachia, and Bulgaria. I got a couple. An Austrian Galicia. Well, I'm certainly not able to get there. That's going to require Fate of Hungary. So, I don't know about the religious unity. I didn't see anything else that really fit with that. But this is the biggie, and I can fire this off, you know, essentially immediately. Historically, the Austrians inherited the throne of Hungary after the Battle of Mohawks. I couldn't remember it before. In which the Turks basically conquered almost all of Hungary. I don't know if they could have gotten the King Albert's legacy out of all that. We may be, I don't know what year we're in. That's one of the problems with this game. I'm in Era 2. Era 2 is, I don't know, something, you know? I can look up the dates of starting scenarios, but I'm like halfway through. I really liked having specific dates in the old EU. And the computer game, of course, always has a date on it. I like, you know, the way that this deck works, just like the events over in the old EU didn't necessarily happen in a specific year. They weren't tied to, you know, this comes in on this turn. They came in by ages like this does. But I knew what year I was in, right? You can't do that with this because everything's kind of a mishmash, and I almost feel like time has been perverted in it. Given the fact that you can't diplomacy once you're at war and stuff like that. It all feels very... it feels like they've sort of combined the time throughout the entire period in a way that, like, you don't really feel like action A necessarily precedes action B in this game, and I don't like that. That's the kind of thing that when I think about it too much really, really sort of destroys games for me. So I'll try not to. When you can complete a mission, and it's any time except right now. The reason being I can't draw the Fate of Hungary and trigger it. Now, I regularly have been completing missions in Phase 1 during the card draw and whatnot, but they've been missions that, like, I didn't notice I had completed, and the fact that the only time I'm paying enough attention to the countries and their sort of long-term goals and their missions and whatnot is really during Phase 1. That's the only time that I notice, hey, I completed this. Fuck, man. You know? I don't know what else to say. In addition to the 2 that I picked there, my cards, I drew 1 of each. New Alliance, that's going to help me get Rome. So, yeah, we want that. We're hoping we can cut some sort of deal with the Poles. And then military, because we'd like to do the Holy League and go to war with Turkey over all kinds of stuff with Polish aid. The military traditions, you know, the military education is great and all, but the biggie is probably the veterans being able to take 2 dice away from my enemy. That's a pretty big bonus. Much bigger than a general gives you, actually. I'm pissed that I didn't use these cards. I think because they were down here, I kind of didn't think I had them. And now I look at them and I'm like, wow. This advisor I would have liked there. Get me some more cubes. This guy either as an advisor or just, well, I didn't have a good enough ruler. Yeah, I was looking at both of these as advisors. And that could have been done as a minor action. I had tons of money. In fact, too much money. I'm going to allow myself to cheat here and slip both of these in. That would have cost me $3. I still would have been over 2. And that would give me some additional cubes. And let me make sure, I don't think that there would be anything weird about those additional cubes, like that they would have been restricted in any way. And that gives me a much, much healthier setup to make up for some of the errors we made with the polls. Selection-wise, we're keeping the reincorporate Masovia. I think we're going to go for the Commonwealth here. In order to aim for those, well, we need administrative capability for the reincorporate Masovia, and we definitely need diplomacy for the Commonwealth. So, but I need to put a fair amount of diplomatic cubes out, because right now I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I could grab those two. 12, up to 14. My income is not big enough. I can't do it. I'm just not rich enough. Unless I incorporate Bohemia. And that's going to take me a while. So this is not a good choice. I'm going to aim for the Polish Navy with the thought of, well, I might be able to vassalize something like Lithuania up there. Sorry, Livonia up there. Lithuania is the big guy. Increased stability. These are the cards I drew. Two admin and 1 diplomacy. The diplomacy, I got exactly what I needed. That was the last choice, too. Increased stability. This is going to cost me like 5 cubes, which is a deal. I don't think I can actually use it. Exceptional year, always a good deal, right? I mean, 2 cubes for $9. But I don't have the administrative capabilities. Screw that. Subjugate we're going to keep. I think we're going to use it, if we have enough cubes, on gaining Bohemia. Because if we actually gain Bohemia here, that's 1, 2... Why am I allied? Lost my alliance when I did this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be 5 more bucks to my base income. So I would be at 10, 15. What did I say? I think this was still too big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. No, I could actually do it. And I don't have to take the vassal. So there's that at least. So that would get me in the direction of being able to subjugate Lithuania and finally get rid of some of these cubes. However, I'm going to have to put a lot of cubes on the board, but I hope to turn this around and play it at on the same turn. Someone else who should have claimed their victory points. So that's 4. I have the requirements here. It's 5 or more provinces in Serbia and Albania. It's why I went there. Wallachia and Bulgaria, Croatia and Bosnia. So I gained my points. I should get claims in 3 of Dalmatia, Hungarian Plain, Transylvania, and any of the areas above. Now, the problem, of course, is, would this impact decisions someone else made? Well, I could have done this in the final phases before I get to stage 1. It would have been legitimate. The only reason it's not legitimate is that I'm in the midst of stage 1. And the only reason for that to be not legitimate is because I can't just draw it and score it right away. I can only have 2 on the turn. And then I can score it as soon as we get out of phase 1, even if it's somebody else's turn. Which is what we're going to see with the fall of Hungary. Like I said, it's almost instantaneous. The thing is, I got to remember to do it. Okay, so what do I want here? Well, I don't know. Let me look at my other missions to see what I want claims to. I decided Hungarian plains because one of my other missions, control of the Danube, makes me want that. This because it looks easier to take, and this because it gives me a means to attack Venice. Once I'm done with my war with Austria, yeah. But we are seeing a turn in which it looks very clear that we are going to move into a war with Austria. Have we solidified ourselves enough yet? Well, how much choice do we have? The Balkan struggle starts now, man. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, but so is Austria, and it's time for us to clash, I think. All right, the cards I drew did not help as much as I would like. I'm going to get rid of the naval maneuver and I'll harbor refugees. Advisors could be useful, there's no question of that, and I drew none, so maybe this would be worth it, but I've got a money problem. Money problem Austria does not have. I want to keep the one step ahead. Those are useful, so that'll be $2. The new alliance. This is the hard one to call. I could look for something, especially something that would be, you know, on the edge of the Austrians, right? Like, I could maybe make an alliance with Brandenburg, drop a couple of cubes in there, and create a military alliance as a counterweight to the Austrians. With a moderately powerful force up there. What would that do? Because I just want to go to war with my buddy, or I could do Bosnia or even Venice. What could I do in terms of, what does this have? When a non-HRE realm declares war on an imperial subject. Okay, I wouldn't be. I'd be declaring war on Hungary, who's not an imperial subject. It's a vassal of the Austrians. Yeah, I think I want this for Venice. Much as I've set myself up for a claim on Venetian territory and another war with Venice, I actually think that they would be useful as an ally to me. Now, as an active ally, that's the whole thing. Which is kind of a painful choice, but that would allow me to have even more troops than I have. I probably have a big enough army, though. Do I want this? Do I not? I think the answer is we don't want to pay for it. It's the problem with minor allies. Okay, the costs are just so high. I've got a big army. I can beat the Austrians, right? That's what I say. I have a good general in terms of Suleiman, but I sure don't want to take Murad on. He's not that good. I'm going to keep the harbor refugees. Right? I don't know. Thinking, do I want to keep a card for a king? I could have King James instead. That wouldn't be too bad. How's this guy? This guy's shitty as a king, but good as a military. This isn't James. This is King Jonah. Well, because I'm worried that he will die. It's not triggered, which means I can wait till my next turn to do it. So I'll only pay 2 of those bucks. Lots of thinking. Lots of thinking. This goes here. We are entering the action phase. And what's kind of interesting is this gives Austria a chance to do diplomacy with Poland if they can come to some sort of agreement. Because they go before the Turks do. Which, you know, leads to some kind of nice things, because otherwise the declaration of war by Turkey on Austria wouldn't... So if Turkey's obviously in a situation where they look like they're about to go to war with Austria, and this may, just a natural situation may seem that way, it behooves somebody over there, Austria in this case, but it might be a war with Poland, in which case Poland might be the one who's more worried about it, to take an action to form that official alliance and try to stave off the attack. On the other hand, they kind of want an offensive attack too. The problem there is Poland may not be all that interested in a war. Transylvania is one of these, isn't it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Transylvania is not one of them. So I've got my markers. They've been bumped or something. Hungarian Plain. Royal Hungary, that's the one that got bumped. Okay. Yeah, I thought Transylvania wasn't important, which means the Poles are kind of in a position where they can say, yeah, go ahead. Especially if you let me have a free hand in Moldavia. Go ahead, fight the Austrians. The only problem with that is Turkey's winning the game. Poland and Austria are in second and third respectively. They might be in the best position. You know, no one else is going to do much to stop the Turks right now. If Spain was, you know, cleaning up like they kind of did historically, they probably would. But hell, Denmark's in the Caribbean there, man. The thing that I was thinking of that I really kind of miss from the old EU and also the computer game, I don't know if this lasted into the later computer game versions, but certainly was in the original board game, was they tracked the prices of the goods. And by getting a monopoly on things, you had an advantage, a powerful advantage. First of all, you got some victory points and whatnot. Who cares? Whatever. The game's victory points were so fucked up and didn't work. But in terms of the income you could make off of a monopoly, either controlling a trade zone, I feel like that's covered, or controlling a commodity. And by controlling the commodity, you could determine how much was sold and whatnot, and really like drive its price to where you wanted it, you know, to where you could maximize your profit off of however many you had. That was a really, really nice mechanism in the game, and there's nothing like that here. There's no commodity prices or anything like that. It would be a layer of complexity that, you know, honestly may not, in the computer game, it may not be apparent to the players. It may be happening behind the scenes where those prices are controlled and whatnot, and monopolies are important. But you may not really be doing much to maintain them. Or it may have just been ignored entirely, but it was a nice mechanism that kind of showed, you know, because at least with certain goods, that monopolistic practice was really, really important. So like the spices for Portugal, big deal, right? Sure, they were still coming over the Silk Road, but not in the same value. Similarly, the timber, although that isn't even tracked, fisheries are, which kind of covers it. The timber in the New World was a big deal towards getting England to being a major naval power. The game represents it with the fisheries. which I don't know if that's as important as the timber was. But anyway. Right, so it's Friday. I'm not going to get a lot of playing in. Although it was not my plan, I'm looking at France and saying the single most impactful thing I can do in this game is probably to build one large ship. That finishes that Grand Fleet off up there. It's worth like 5 victory points to begin with. I mean, it's just worth 5, but and gets me a couple of cubes. If I don't do it now, well, it's a 2 victory point difference, is really what it is. Do I really want to rush it this turn? If I don't do it in this set of rounds, I'll be able to organize my forces a little better. So yeah, I'm going to grab a die, and on odds, I'm going to just build that and deny the points to England. The big reason I would automatically do it if it was anybody I was competing with. But England is the only person who can reasonably do it, I think. But I don't know, Turkey could probably pull it off, you know? I don't see, well, the Poles could, if they had a port. They have these galleys. All right, we're going to hold off. That puts me in another sort of do or die type of, do I want to fire this off before anything else? Which is a bunch of diplomacy to get me discovery of the New World so that I can send a ship. This is what it is, right? So I can send ships on the explore action. Now, this has some of the same cost that the other one did, which is that I have to use a military cube. Military cubes are very helpful to me right now because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 areas in unrest. Now, development isn't going to help me with that. Four areas in unrest. And what is the conversion cost? Convert area is 2 plus 3 ducats. 2 admin plus 3 ducats. This would cost me 3 admin to do the same thing plus 3 ducats, but also get the card out, which is not that bad. Man at the church would cost me 1 plus 2, which is actually really good. But the thing is, if I want to get the Guinean coast, it's pretty important for me to get the Gold Coast here. And then I can worry about Benin and Mali later. I'm probably not going to be able to, you know, launch a war over there. But grabbing the West African territory before anybody else does, get a claim to that, get my cube, colonize it, etc. Of course, I might not get my cube there. I might end up in Angola, you know. The other thing is, for almost anyone else, the Cape of Good Hope is worth more than the Gold Coast. I don't know what those gold symbols do. I'm assuming they're indicating that when a gold card comes up, those provinces are important. I think that's all. It's just that gold is so vitally big that they want to tell you what material is produced there. Whereas, you know, the others, it's like they're not gonna change your choices all that much. So representing the individual commodities on them isn't that important. But gold has a significant effect, cost in terms of money. Or I could just, you know, ignore the issue. There's no real advantage, you know, in terms of points or whatever, to being the third person on a card. I'm not going to get any extra points for that. And I don't know. I don't know if anybody else is interested in Africa. I could look at their cards, their missions, and see. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody really cares about my position. So yeah, I think we're going to start resolving the problems instead. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5. I've got to use all 5 cubes to pacify the area. It's my entire army basically, and then I'll flip them. It has so many issues. I got cards I would like. Like I would like to get the Inquisition, right? My stability is not high enough. Okay, that's not going to happen. Commercial growth I would like to play. Might be able to get away with that. But the big thing that I'm going to do as Spain is I'm going to try to recuperate stuff. Oh, I haven't looked at these from Spain's point of view. I took a quick look. Dutch Gate of Independence. I don't want this picked. That's basically the issue here. I just don't want these picked. You know what's interesting? Yeah. So the Netherlands isn't a player in this. If the Dutch revolt is just going to operate like these other DNPRs or whatever, which means they're probably not going to manage to gain much of their territory. And given that the Spanish didn't really manage to take over most of the Netherlands, oh, I don't know. Some of the areas were not under Spanish control, so yeah, I don't know what I'm saying right now. All right, yeah, I'm left with a gosh. I just don't know what the fuck to do. I don't have any anything that uses diplomacy cubes. I'm going to collect some money with trade. I think that's my best option right now, actually. My card's an interesting one. It's got North America on it. I do not have Mexico, Antilles, or Florida. I'm allowed to trigger it anyway. At 2, I would get $6 for sure. South America is also on there. I am not in the right trade zone for that. That's down here, oddly. It looks like a stupid place for it, but you know, whatever. It covers both coasts that way. But the third one is Maghreb. Now, it's got a secondary in Seville, but I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in Maghreb itself. I actually have enough of Morocco to be in there. Marrakech, there. That counts as 2. Sus I don't have. Tunis I don't have. Madeira. That was owned by Portugal, but I honestly don't know where it is. Oh, it's over here. Okay. All right, so I would have 2 plus the merchant is 3. That would get me up to a $10 space. Where's my second merchant? Got one there. Oh, he's in North America. Okay. I'm going to place here. I can trace up here through this. And with 3, I make $10. Pretty nice. Yes, England is the one who wants the Inquisition and was planning on it. And here's the thing. I see the Spaniard looking over at these, maybe even picking up the Inquisition card. I'm sitting right next to it. I'm like, yeah, I better take it. He's thinking about it. It's time. But I also see the French looking at these perhaps and seeing the Grand Fleet. So I'm torn between the two, but I want the idea. First, the Grand Fleet, it's just a couple of points. So a couple of cubes go over. And the Inquisition says a couple more cubes. Okay, it's not really all that cheap. like it's centered all on the same thing, the administrative, which I actually want, because my other card is also administrative, but I can do a rearg. I get 2 victory points for that. But the important thing is conversions are advantageous. Now I should gain bye-bye a cardinal, but I can't. I'm not Catholic. I can't have a cardinal. I'm a little confused because Austria grew quite a bit, became very powerful by adding Hungary to it, but its army didn't really grow. I don't think it grew at all. Well, that's because I forgot to take into account those guys. I believe I did take them into account in the economy, but I did not add the extra troops to my manpower pool. It's hard to remember sometimes. I mean, there's a lot. And you follow the little procedure for every country, and then there's a couple of countries that have a couple extra additions. So the Austrian says emperor and whoever owns the papacy. T situation is rather critical, so I'm going to pause here, even though I kind of wanted to run through the last couple countries. It's okay. Time to unwind. I screwed up. Get 4 cubes back. Couldn't do this, and yeah, I'm still dumb. Couldn't do this because we don't have the stability, which means the 2 points that we got for it didn't happen. What I remembered was I didn't score the extra stability for this. Sorry, the extra prestige for that, which would have given me rise. So, I'm sorry, I really, the brain fog is really bad, and usually I'm not up here with it when it's really, really bad, but I really want to play. Not sure I want to go dancing, but I definitely want to play, and I can't help it if I'm just too fucking stupid now. I think the best answer may be to do a build, get that navy on the board, but also this is going to require some debt. Build a unit here that can siege Northumbria, and I can just leave that as a loose unit because it'll just be an infantry. Those are kind of a pain in the ass to have lying around, but it's the cheapest in terms of cubes for me to resolve some of my issues. Wait, there's an alternative. France has already passed on the opportunity to build their heavy ships and gain that marker. On odd, I'm going to take a trade first and avoid with because I'm very close to the money I need, and avoid the the need to go into debt further. But on even, I'm going to be in too much of a rush in the sense that I'm still worried France is going to come around on this. Okay, yeah, we're going to build the navy right away. And there's the loose guy. That gives me 5 points for building the Grand Fleet. And 2 cubes in the diplomacy. Alright. I'm going to move this. I can't keep going. I'm having some physical issues as well. Back up to give it another crack, but I don't think I can go on. However, I looked up the player-to-player diplomacy to understand it, because Austria probably wants to form an alliance with Poland, if Poland's willing. And, you know, they can table talk about it and decide, hey, do we have one, before any kind of expenditure is made. If we form an alliance, that's going to cost the active player diplomacy cube. Could also form a marriage at the same time for another cube. That cube allows the active player to choose a card type, and both players receive a card of that type. That's actually a kind of nice payoff. There isn't much that allows the idea of I can pay 1 cube to get a card. Some of these have that, but you're giving up other opportunities for it in addition to the cube that you're paying. So there's something kind of interesting about that. If you didn't come up with a good draw at the beginning of your turn, marriage is one way to solve that situation. And sure, you could end up in a disputed succession or something because of that, but whatever. I'm just not in the frame of mind to be able to cope with the player-to-player diplomacy, and I think this is the moment when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen. So I'm going to pause probably for the day. Physically, I'm okay right now. I just really had to use the bathroom badly, but mentally, I'm having real trouble, you know. And I'm not saying that the thing that I missed with the English has anything to do with this. My capability of expressing myself using words is the problem. And to think cogently about, like, the plans. So, it's Saturday night, and I'm looking at this and saying, you know, the more I think about it, the less willing Poland is to join into this alliance. They just don't have any real desire to be at war with Turkey. I mean, sure, it would be great to bring Turkey down a step, but that seems like an iffy thing in comparison to, hey, you know what? Austria, you and Turkey are set up for war. Go for it or don't, I don't care. But if you go for it, that's, thinking in the back of my mind, that's really good for me because it'll bring them both down. And yeah, you know, Austria's a little behind me, but they're my closest competitor other than Turkey, who's way ahead of me. It doesn't feel like it's necessary at this point to try to take Turkey down. So I think Austria is being rebuffed here. They don't spend a cube or anything for it. You only have to spend if, you know, an agreement is taken. Now, there is an optional rule that you spend an extra cube to go talk secretly. That doesn't really apply. So now I have to figure out what Austria is going to do for themselves. Kind of funny, I always look at this and think, you know, this is what makes me think I can create an alliance, is seeing this. But there's another mechanism for making an alliance, one that's cheaper. However, you have to already have the cubes in the area to do it. And Austria only has one cube in the Papal States. To meet this, we need an additional cube there. We also need another alliance. And that's what we were hoping to get out of the Poles. I don't think anybody else is really gung-ho on the concept of allying to go to war with Turkey. Maybe Spain, but they're in such trouble economically. And I'm having a hard time finding, you know, I mean, it'd be great to bring like the Mamluks in, right? They're sitting at, I think these are all small, but I don't know for sure. No, that's a big one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're gonna hit maximum. Now, if I ally with the Mamluks against the Turks, I could just use this for that. Does that meet my goal though, or does it have to be a Catholic ally? Yeah, it has to be a Catholic realm. I mean, the Mamluks would be a massive force threatening Turkey's heartland, so they would be intriguing that way. Oh boy. I'm going to trigger the fate of Hungary. I don't know why I didn't do this before, at the very least. I know why I didn't. This is the first time around. It's the first time I'm seeing it. I want to vassalize all provinces in 2 or more of the Hungarian territories. I got that. I gain 2 military cubes or a claim. I could get the claim in Croatia and Bosnia. It's over here. Kind of don't. See, I already have a claim in Turkish territory. That might be enough. Or Serbia and Albania. I think I'm going to take the military cubes because I think I'm going to have to go to war with the Turks. I don't really feel like I can think clearly still. I'm really having trouble with the optimization type issues. Like, what do I do to get the things I want done? It's so alien to me to think in these terms. And I'm getting too fatigued. I'm sorry. I'll be back probably tomorrow. Symptomatically, what's happening, it's not the normal brain fog that I've been experiencing. Instead, it's actually like a headache from thinking. Now, I remember this happening as well, and I really think my long COVID's stepping up its game. I think it's been there for a while because I've been getting weird headaches and stuff for, through the whole period and whatever. But these things didn't interfere with my life the way that, I'm getting physically exhausted very easily. Of course, today's Saturday. That might play into it, but just everything. The only thing I seem to be able to do physically is dance. And that's because I go into an exalted state where whatever's happening to my body doesn't matter anymore. I'm here to give things another chance, figuring, even if I'm stupid, even if my head hurts when I try thinking, I gotta keep playing, right? And I feel okay. I have some coffee, although that's gonna probably cause my gut to cause problems. And I just noticed, and oh, didn't I? No. Okay, I see what we got here. So there's 5 cubes up here in Lombardy, and these are in central Italy. The lines in central Italy are causing me issues. I'm trying to figure out what Austria wants to do. So before they start their war, they have to get their alliances in order. And I don't actually have to activate those alliances in a war, but it would be helpful, right? The thing is, though, that Turkey, and I'm going to be going to war with Turkey, is not necessarily easy for me to get a grip on with something from outside the HRE that I could pull in. Poland would have been the obvious choice. Like I said, Poland doesn't want to. Beyond that, if I declare war on Turkey, I don't think I could bring in something like Portugal online because Algiers is nearby. I think it would need to actually be adjacent to the Turkish realm for me to pull in. I also don't particularly want, well, actually, I can't have an alliance. Wait. 2 people can't have an alliance with the same NPR, I think. I don't remember. I'm losing my capabilities here so much. Especially just, this is maybe more 12, 15, 32. And it's probably mentioned in one of these places. Well, it's not in this one. Okay, we look it up again. Relying on an index, no matter how good it is nowhere near as functional as just knowing where in the rules to find something. But these rules, because of their imagery, are difficult for me to do that. Okay. It says 12 has alliance. It's going to be player-to-player diplomacy. And now, doing things one-handed is not trivial. Forge alliance. In order, both you must have at least 2. Okay, if the target NPR is allied to an opponent, you must have more total cubes than the opponent in the target NPRs to replace it. Yeah, I think there's only one alliance allowed in a location. But I remember seeing that, but I'm not seeing it now. Is there a restriction? Okay, forge alliance actions replace an alliance with another alliance. It is not possible to forge alliances while you are at war with what realms of war. That's not it. Okay, we look back, because it may not be a replacement. So I'm looking. It may depend on how I do it, right? I'm looking. I have a new alliance. Remove any 2 cubes from a target NPR. Add 2 to your own. Then if you and target NPR are both at peace, you may, and you have the most cubes in their area, you gain an alliance. It doesn't say you remove one from the opponent. Although, there's kind of an implication, right? If you have to remove it with the other side. But now, I am lost. Maybe alliances is defined over here. Maybe I can only find it here. And my vision is not working as well as it should. And this is not what I wanted to look up, right? I'm caught in this because, hey, there's an alliance that maybe I want to take over. But, I don't know. Okay, diplomatic action, forge alliance to you place it there. For more details, in order to take this, you must have a total of at least 2. If the target NPR is allied to an opponent, you must have more total cubes than the opponent in order to replace them to forge an alliance. Okay. It doesn't say it there. Alliance with NPR, no, with distant NPRs. Alliances. An alliance is a pact. You can have a maximum of 3. We will look very slowly. An NPR can only be allied to 1 PR. There we go. That's the rule I was looking for. Again, I had to slow down completely. Can't skim anymore because it's just one little bullet point there. And there's a whole slew of things where that one was so salient that bad things could happen. So the bonus of this, and it's kind of expensive, but it allows you to swap cubes in addition to giving you the alliance, which is kind of nice. So we could steal an alliance from someone. But again, I'm not really seeing too much advantage there. Except that this is the only way we can get Rome. Otherwise, we don't have a way to steal the cubes. Okay, so this is the card we need to get Rome. I don't know how we're going to get our other alliance, but that's 4 cubes and $2. And really, I'm at the Must do something or else I'm going to lose my train entirely on this game. 2 Spanish cubes come off because I have to remove 2 cubes. 2 of my cubes come on. And now I don't have to take the Spanish alliance here in Ferrara. I don't want that. What I'm going to take instead is the papal one that I actually desire. But now I have enough points that I could... Are you really allied to Firenze? I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I have enough I have enough points that I could like steal an alliance from, steal one of these other alliances or do something else. Now this alliance doesn't give me anything in the Curia, and God, I'm fucking wiped out trying to figure out how to play again. But, alright. I will see if I can do the last couple countries in this round. You would think I could just fall into it, but it's really been hard. Yesterday, even before, even on Friday, I really struggled, right? I don't know. I can't remember anymore. My brain is just fucking jello. Yeah. Fortunately for the Poles, I did the counting here. I'm a little short. I have a 10 base income. I don't get to count my vassals in. I got a few choices. Right now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's my minimum. 12, sorry. This is now revassaled, I guess. So if I could get a 14 base income, I could swallow this territory back in too. Okay. One choice, I'm at 10. First of all, I would like to get some development going, but I don't have the cards for it. I didn't manage to get them. That's what I need for the reincorporate Masovia. But Bohemia is big. That would be a second one. So, one choice that I have is I can go for Bohemia. Bohemia is worth 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 base income. If I grab that, that would make everything okay. Now, does me taking Bohemia give a casus belli to the emperor? I'm not sure. I don't think so. No, it's declarations of war. And it would actually cause the empire to take another hit if Bohemia leaves it. So that's kind of appealing. What do I need for that? Well, I have a subjugate. That's good. How many cubes do I need? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. There's 2 things to keep in mind here. Placing cubes is cheap. I can use money for that. Money is something Poland has a fair amount of. In fact, too much. So placing cubes is cheap, and subjugating is cheap. Sounds like the ultimate plan to me. The only opposition to that is, for the Polish Navy, I would really like to grab something like Livonia or something. But that would only add 3, and then I wouldn't be in a position to swallow Lithuania as easily. Okay. How did they manage it historically? I don't know, because I get the feeling I don't think they conquered much of this other territory. I don't know. Prussia could be 3, Livonia and Estonia. I'm not quite sure what the ordering is here. You know, this is not anywhere near my specialty. Okay, so I only have 3 cubes over here, though. That's a problem. So that's $9. And what did I say I need? 2, 3, 4, only 5, not 6. No. What are you? Make it 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's going to eat up 3 of these cubes and $9. Which I can't do. Right? Oh no, this is a different province. Oh, excellent. Yes, I can do it. I was going to say I can only put 5 cubes in a province. I'm here to try to remember, hey, do I have an event? And yeah, I do actually. I have a Polish event. But I just don't want this played. Invalidate the agreements. Poland gains a couple of monarch power, but loses 2 stability. They add 3 unrest, and you gain a military. That doesn't sound like a good thing. And then succumb to the session, Poland loses prestige and $10 and must exhaust 6 army. Maybe somebody will end up taking that and I'll get screwed by it, but for the most part, there is no way in hell I want that thing played. I don't. The only reason I would want to play it is to pick one of these 2 kind of bad events over the other, rather than let someone else do it. Anyway. Similarly here with the Turkish one, they don't particularly want to do this. I don't know what a hostile area is. Like, Ottomans must add... A hostile area is one that has hostile something or other. I think it means at war. But I'm not positive. Like this is, you know, obviously this is not a hostile area, but let's see. I don't see it here. And here's what's really annoying. The rules that are in here, like this, whatever the thing, the unlimited tokens or what, yeah, I had no way of finding that. Okay, let's look for hostile. Let's see if that's in here. Because I have no idea where to look for it. I mean, I could look in the 2 places in the front. Since that did work for me before. Here, it's defined on 4. This was the 2nd place. That might have it. Hostile returns to things controlled by rebels or by realms at war with you. Hostile realms and their units are also called enemies. Okay, good enough. And an area containing any hostile units or provinces is considered a hostile area. Yeah. So this isn't necessarily terrible, because if an area is hostile to me, it probably has a town, unless it's neutral, a town that's that's in enemy hands, which I can add the unrest to. But if I'm looking at, you know, something like this, the hostile area, the only place I can put unrest, I can't put it on the neutrals. And then I'd have to, or pay money equal to half the tax income if unable to. This isn't that terrible, the pay troops now option. Of course, I get a worse leader. The question is whether somebody else wants to play this, say Austria, over me wanting to. And I don't know the answer to that. But I want to control the Danube. Own or vassalize Belgrade, Pest, and 2 other original Hungarian core provinces. No. It's Austria who got those. And safeguard Anatolia. Kind of built for war, but I got a hell of a lot of debt on my hands. Which is not a good situation to be in. Now, I cheated in favor of the Turks, but it was just a rather minor thing. Yeah, a rather minor thing, but it's definitely a cheat. I followed a maxim of, well, out of money? No problem. Conduct a trade operation. And I spent the cube for it. Which seems like a great idea. I drew the cards, saw one that I could maybe use, and didn't look at the third. Adriatic Sea looks like a great choice. And then I look, and I only have 1 light ship in my navy. And that would mean disbanding my navy, losing my admiral, and all that. So I shuffled the cards back in and said, no, that's not a good thing. I just want to show you, you know, if I was kind of at the top of my game and expected to remember things, I might have let that stand. But at this point, I need all the help I can get to just like get through actions. I'm divorced enough from the time that I last played, which was a couple of days ago. Played kind of effectively, and you know, I mean, I came up yesterday and tried and failed, but and I don't remember on Friday. I think I got through some, but anyway, I can't even put words together anymore. Okay, it's gotten that bad. Like, there's just nothing functional in me anymore. But anyhow, I just gonna try to blunder through and get this moved. I don't know if I can come up and play again today. I mean, I'm not in pain or anything. I don't feel the brain fog, but my brain's not working. You know, it's not fucking working. I had to look at this to see, I don't remember what, something. Research maybe? Research idea, cost stated on idea card. Okay. This is a little bit of shorthand, right? And very helpful towards directing you to what you need. It may not have everything you need to know, though. So, as an example, research idea, it doesn't really tell you what you do, how you do it. The impression is, okay, maybe I just pay the cost, maybe not, I don't know. Cost stated on idea card, yeah. I think they're all 5 though. But anyway, they're different kinds. But I took a look. First of all, I don't know if there's a requirement for that, right? So the card for revolutionary ideas has a stability check. Now I feel like I have to check that to see if I need the stability to research an idea. And as an example, I look at Forge Alliance, where it has the cost. Both PR and NPR must be a piece, requires 2 cubes in target area. Doesn't say the other things that we found out about forging alliances. I.e., if someone else has an alliance, you can't get an alliance. That's one, except by replacing theirs. And ideas like that, you know, so there could be things that are not expressed on the little cheat sheet. And that's largely okay, but it makes it harder to remember what the fuck's going on. So I will look at the basic actions, research. Do I need anything? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. Where am I? I don't remember. Who am I? I think I'm Turkey. But I'm trying to figure out, you know, I'm just looking, is there something I want to do? Because I don't know. I don't really want to go to war. I don't really want to fucking do anything. I'm not sure I want to spend my military cubes to try to cure unrest. What I'd really like to do is I'd like to have the Inquisition. That would be very helpful. Well, the Inquisition's administrative and takes 5. I don't have the research cards for it and whatnot, so that's not going to work. What about development? Missionaries. That's what I want to do. I want a missionary. Or develop province. I don't have enough cubes here for develop province. Yeah, I'll be a missionary. I think that's all I can cope with. I don't know when I'm going to get well again. My assumption is I'm not, right? When I was having it this badly was soon after I think I got COVID. We're talking about, you know, during the height of the super lockdown period is when I got it. And that is like a couple of months. Remember, I think I got COVID before it was discovered in America. You know, take that how you will, whatever, but that's when I think I got it. Because I had a period of illness that was kind of strange, but it recurred a couple of times, and about a month and a half after that, I started getting these periods where I could not focus, think anything, and it was really impacting me at work. Honestly, you know. Anyway. So now I'm debating whether or not I screwed up, but France chose to convert that using their man of the church. However, what are my bonuses as Papal Controller? Because I could be uncontested Papal Controller, which would allow me to get some extra points, basically, at the end of the turn. But I think this is the better move. I could certainly excommunicate someone or call a crusade, but I can do that anyway. So yeah, I did that. I'm considering pursuing the Guinean coast. However, I don't have any military cubes, so it's kind of iffy, but I'd be able to do it next turn. I'm back up. My brain feels a little clearer, but it's not being taxed yet. And the thing is, you know, it may be that the way out of this requires that I use my brain, right? I can't just, back before, you know, I fought my way through work and whatnot, and I was playing games too. So I can't just give up. I've got to keep coming up. Plus, I need to get the game played, right? And if I screw up, I screw up. That's okay. Except for the fact that I really should go shopping today. The rest, I'm running a little low. I'm on kind of a 2-week cycle usually, and I didn't get enough bread last time, which is often, you know, the one thing I can't do without, although cheese is also running low. Another thing that's hard to cope without. I got ways around it, but it's a little gray out today. There was a moment where it was pretty and I was thinking, oh shit. It is also supposed to rain a little, but it's supposed to rain all the rest of the week. And I don't know, but you know, whatever. On to Spain. So, part of me wants to go exploring with Spain, but the problem is I have to keep using diplomacy dice for rerolls, and that may not be the wisest situation that I can face. I have a bunch of military cubes, and then I have the commercial growth, which I definitely like to do to get things under play. If I use my military cubes to repair problems, that gets me out of the trouble. That gets me out of trouble, and I don't have to do the exploration. Unfortunately, I'm going to build up enough colonists that I really want something for next turn, but I can do that next turn instead. I actually could colonize this turn, but that would give up some of my functionality. So I think the best thing I can do is make myself vulnerable. I'm worried about the Dutch problem, so I don't want to convert those over if necessary, or whatever the words I'm trying to find are. Having this in unrest is actually kind of the best, because I'm going to have to keep paying, keep making rolls, or things will continue to convert to unrest as long as I'm there. In fact, I might want to leave this in unrest simply because, but I'll do these 3 with my cubes. This is going to convert back over to unrest, so how much does it help me? It really doesn't. Screw it. Let's leave it in unrest. It's going to cause problems, but it's better to get the Catholic areas out of unrest rather than worry about my big towns or whatever. It has this ugly balance problem. So, hey, I turned an area Protestant. I want to keep doing that, right? That's sort of my goal at this point, is to start making things Protestant. Well, one good way to do that is the Inquisition. I have a revolutionary ideas, which is great, but I need stability for that. That's going to cost me 4 cubes to get the stability. And then researching that would cost me 4 more cubes to get that, and I still wouldn't get anything for the Inquisition, except for victory points. So the question is, do I raise my stability, which isn't really hurting me that much, or do I just convert another area, or do I worry about other things? So, for example, I have a commercial growth. Commercial growth is great. That'll use 2 of my cubes, though, and thus take away my ability to turn a place's religion. Without tolerance, I'm going to start suffering more and more problems, though. Where is... There it is. There's the religious space. On the other hand, holding a couple of cards sucks. And is something I don't necessarily want to do. Of course, I could spend a military cube and get a commander, but I don't really want a commander in hand, particularly. Because then he can die. You know, he's just a waste there. I could try trading more. I don't have a lot of cash here. But then I get caught in that wheel again, right? Because if I'm going to trade more, well, I ought to do the commercial growth first, put a trade node down, because that'll increase my chances of getting, you know, an expanded trade zone. And then, well, I do that, and what happens? Well, I've done the 3, and I only have 2. I can only convert an area or upgrade stability if I do a reallocation, which might make sense. So screw it. We want to get rid of a card. 2 cubes. $3, and I'm going to increase a trade zone. This makes me less politically... So I get more political power by having a bigger realm. I don't get political power out of increased trade. However, increased trade can get me more money. And there's a very limited number of these counters, the expanded trade zone counters. I'm a little worried about that, but there we have it. So that's my guess, and they're not supposed to be limited, I don't think. Or I think they're not supposed to be. My wife always used to give me shit about that one. But I don't think that they're supposed to be limited. I'd have to look that up. If I do run out, there's only, what, 1 left? Yeah, 1 left. So if they are limited, grabbing them is even more important. His next required move is to create an alliance. We look at this. Forge alliance costs half the target's tax income. Both have to be at peace and requires 2 cubes in the target's area. Well, I got 2 cubes here, and that is outside, as per this, the, can't fucking see anything here. Oh God, the game is so crowded. So I could create an alliance, maybe with Genoa? Let's look at the alliance rules. I think I have to have the most cubes, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. And it's, again, not going to be on the cheat sheet. So we got to look again. You must have a total of 2. If the target's allied, you must have more total. Yeah, no, I can do it. Okay. So I can forge an alliance. It would cost me 2 cubes for Genoa to join the alliance. Genoa would be interesting. They give me some default naval power. Huh. I think that's worth it. Part of me says, I could do a 1-cuber and get the same effect. But, so now I have an ally in Genoa. And I don't have to actually remove the cubes, do I? I hope not. No. and place it on the target's capital along with a cube in the capital area if there's space. There's not space. I didn't notice that. So you get an extra influence in the area. Is that worth it then? Because instead, there's 5 cubes here. If I put it in Florence, which is almost as good, I get another cube. And that gives me more power. Okay. Between the two of them, we're going to have a larger force possibly to attack in Naples. Now I have to look at the different armies. That's the gun army. It's not very big. I've got a fairly large army available to me. Then again, so does Turkey, but I have a better economy right now. That's what I'm going to have to hope for. And I also, of course, have the war in the Balkans, which is the more important of the two. So I may not actually call on those allies. If Turkey wants to declare war on them, they can, and they'll be added to the war then. And our good friend the Poles will now institute their big sweep. I said it was 6, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. I got the royal marriage and the alliance and everything. Well, vassalage. It's not an alliance anymore. So we got a lot there. That'll be nice. So that has a massive effect. Bohemia and Silesia have both left the empire, which drops this by 2. Ouch. And, you know, will no longer count for imperial army and whatnot when produced. What happens with that reduction? Does anything hit me immediately with that? I don't think so. Okay. So yeah, and Poland is more powerful. We've just really slammed the Austrians. I don't know how they feel about that, but it can't be good. He's considering this thing because, hey, I can gain myself a military cube here. So let's look at it. Ottomans must add unrest to any towns in a hostile area where they have Ottoman troops. There are no such areas. I don't think this is a price that I have to pay. I'm not at war with anything, so it's safe. Or pay money equal to half their tax income if unable to. Okay, so the first thing is in a hostile area. I don't have any hostile areas. So the first ambiguity I had is this supposed to be any or all or something like that? There's always this weird sort of, you know, ambiguity in English language, probably all languages. But here in a hostile area, that could mean all hostile areas. It would probably say that if it meant that. But that's how I was kind of reading it, but I think that's not correct. I think they must choose a hostile area, put that problem there, or pay half their tax income if unable to. Again, I think that's base tax income. I think I'm unable to because there are no hostile areas. Therefore, and it makes sense. What this is a choice. If you're at war, you can pay the janissaries by allowing them to pillage. So I definitely don't want to do that while I'm at peace, which is when I thought I wanted to do it by the way I was reading it before. But now, as I think about it, yeah, I don't think so. I don't want to trade. I keep making that mistake until I build up my military or something. I could just go to peace, and then let the Austrians take what they want, but they can't attack me if that's the case. Of course, I can't do that without taking an event. It's almost like the language portion of my brain is what's the most problematic. Like, I feel like I'm able to actually think, and now, at least to the limited extent that I've been able to mechanically now. Wow, I'd like to get a subjugate. Get this under control, under ownership. That'd be neat. Of course, that would make it possible for Spain, for other things to ally against me, which maybe isn't so hot. Definitely don't want to go to war with anyone other than Austria. My goals say Austria is a good choice. Oh, boy. What could I do with my administrative cubes? Nothing there. Can't increase stability. I could convert an area. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I don't want to declare the war. At least not in this situation with Austria having all those cubes. But if they declare war on me, I got to hold my cubes, right? I don't know which way things are going to go. I know they were trying to get Poland in a war with me because all talk was at the table because they didn't spend to hide that from me. Therefore, what was it? $2 and $3. I don't like spending the money because this is money I'm going to need if there's a war, but, sorry, $3. All right, it's not just verbal capabilities that are gone, and I get to get rid of another one of these religious problems. Oh, did I want the Inquisition? I have the points I could have taken the Inquisition. Inquisition. You know, no, that's 5 admin. Yeah, that's too much. I can't afford that. And it doesn't help, does it? Like, oh no, convert area would be down significantly lower. If only I had the technology card. My stability is even good enough. Yeah, okay. What are we gonna do? Which one are we gonna take? We got a lot of Muslim areas. See, I'm debating this one because it's kind of threatened right now. But this is also threatened. Time for me to break. But yeah. For another time around, the French buy their development card. Yeah, I know, I'm running low on cubes. I got a bunch here. I don't know what I'm going to do with. I also might still research the New World. Not sure yet. But the biggie here is, if I want to trade and get more money, the development card can be useful. It can also be useful to making a couple more big cities and getting me a higher total income. You're not limited by big cities, by the way. You can use 2 small cities, or 2 small towns, whatever, as a larger one. I mean, honestly, there are no cities as we know it, right? The population density is much, much lower, and the actual urbanization is still very low at this point. But likewise, Spain is, by the way, this can't increase trade. I was wrong about it, although it can reduce the cost of doing so. It's time to do a commercial gains question. Do I want to do, do I want to increase a trade area, or do I want to increase a town? It's a good question, because I might want to do a trade. I've already gotten away with one. I think I'm going to do a town. It's more stable, right? And we definitely don't want to do a place where we have a religious problem. Galicia gives us a naval town, which is of some value. I kind of like doing that. Time for England to try trading again, I think. I want to clear this, but I don't need to do it quite yet. Draw. Lubeck? Possible. But not quite. Here's the thing. I can move one ship to the North Sea, but I need another one to the Skag to get it there. And, yeah. Can't do that. I don't know how much I would get for it. Probably just level 2. I'd get $3 for that. So the other cards, nothing that I can play in, I think. Wait, this has a secondary. No, it's Baltic Sea. No, it's Black Sea. Worse. Yeah, it hurts us because that was a call between trying to get my income into better, or my money into better shape. One of the ways I need to do income, though, is I need to do trade. That's what I'm set up for. Or going for the New World, which I couldn't really do anything about. Well, yeah, I actually could. I could go explore it. I have extra light ships. So, you know, that would have been a possibility. And then, had I done that, I could start trading in the New World, and that would create some interesting opportunities. So, maybe I should have done it that way, but I would have to do a reorg to get that right. A reorg could get me stability, which would help me with cheaper ideas and other things. So I think I'm best off not doing it yet. This is a hard call for Austria. I'm going ahead with this military traditions, but the reason it's a hard call is I'm going to war this turn. Setting this up ahead of time is, or right now, that's 2 of my military actions, and I don't have cannon. So sieging is not easy for me. And again, this is a thing where the old EU, and I think the computer game, would more or less have, you know, everybody in that Western technology group would have gotten cannons. The Ottomans had to pay, would have to pay to get it. There's no question there. They would have to do something to jump that line on their own. But it probably, you know, if they hadn't done it first, which they usually do, just in the case of cannons, because their technology is actually very good early in the game, everybody else has to pay to jump too. It's just, it will, if you are a Western technology or linked to the Muslim technology sphere, which only the Ottomans are, someone is forging ahead. You know, the fact that these people are ahead, are already there, would make it so that it was a very cheap technological increase to gear up. Much, much cheaper than this game seems to allow it to be. Now, I could buy cannons, but again, that's a huge cost. This was just 2. And what cannons represent in this game, ignoring what they represent, their game effect, right, is much, much less in this one. So if you don't have cannons in the old EU, you're in the medieval technology. It makes it very difficult to siege. There's no question of that. But the big thing is, in actual land combat, you just suck. You have no firepower capability, which means anybody who does have firepower has a higher morale than you do. And they're going to be able to cause morale hits in both the fire and the melee rounds of a combat, which is going to break any medievals, right? If you're in Renaissance, and which may be the cannons technology, I'm not sure, and your opponent is in, I'm trying to remember what the next one up is, I think it's arquebuses. Whatever it is, it includes the tercios for Spain only. Then, and this is the thing, you can't reach this without having the cannons. You know, if you don't have gunpowder in wide usage on the artillery, you're not going to have it on the muskets, right? But it's just, the terms mean a lot more in the other one. In this game, yeah, you know, I can siege, but you know what? I could not have cannons and be in the latest technology, you know, be facing the Star Fortresses, the Vauban fortresses, and still be able to siege them at a 1 cube per tax value that, you know, I can do right now. There's not this differentiation. The fortifications don't get bigger or anything. So a lot of it's just kind of abstracted away. These ideas don't mean what they meant, at least on the military realm, the only place where there was technology in the original. Might be a slight problem, just sort of a game mistake. This subjugate card was sitting out here. I know I played it, you know, it's how I got that. But it didn't get discarded in the right order because of that, necessarily. I don't know. I don't know. What's the top one here? The top one's the New Alliance, which I think was played just before that, so we're fine. But it's possible that by little tiny errors you could permutate the game or perturb the game state in ways it's not supposed to be. These are the kind of little mistakes that I write off, but, you know, it does kind of strike you as, wow, it's really, really easy. It's not just a matter of not remembering the rules or forgetting something major or something. There's a little thing like not discarding the card at the right time or whatever, leaving it lying around, you know, which seems like such a tiny thing that it's very, very easy to make that kind of mistake. I don't know. Cubes and money to convert an area. The question is, what area do I want to convert? Bohemia has a whole shitload of stuff in it, so it seems appealing to switch that over to, what is this? Diverse, okay. To Catholicism. But if that goes Protestant, that's going to cause me issues. And I don't think it's very likely that this is going to go Protestant. This is also one all on its own. It really isn't risking much. But the thing was, I was kind of thinking, well, if that goes Protestant, that could be problems for Austria. But, you know, honestly, that's going Catholic. We're gonna convert them over and make things happy. Happy over in Poland land. The debt we're in, but I think Turkey's best move at this point is to build up their army. So I've spent, I don't know, 14 bucks somewhere around there. I don't know what I spent. Pile. Bought myself a galley, bought myself another light ship because I'm thinking about trade. I don't think I'm going to need a navy against the Austrians necessarily, but I want the option open to keep the admiral, so I wanted a galley in place. Maybe a couple more bucks for another galley, I don't know. It kind of doesn't seem that necessary right now. So, yeah, we'll keep things as they are. Did Austria want an alliance with Venice? Yeah. I mean, it's too late now, but that would have been an appealing alliance compared to whatever we got, Florence or whatever. However, Florence was easier to achieve. Okay. It's kind of funny nobody's picked an event yet. I think this is the longest we've gone without somebody wanting one. The problem is, none of these events are particularly good for the person they apply to. This is obnoxious. Poland would be perfectly happy not to have this played. Although, maybe I can recover stability. I don't know. Doesn't look like it. Getting my stability high was one of my big bonuses. I'm able to get rid of unrest and stuff. But, man, if somebody else picks this, they're going to hose me with it. Are they going to pick it though? Because there's the Janissaries demand pay, which might be more obnoxious. Refusing their demands causes a stability loss. And someone gains something. Someone gains something on both of these, so, you know, whatever. And then the Dutch declare independence is a nice blow against Spain. But they're all, let's target someone else with something. So the only reason I think anybody's going to pick these at this point is kind of I kind of run out of things to do and I want to pass, but I'm not allowed to until I pick an event. That's basically the thing. Now, the Turks will pick this, I think, to get it out of the way once they're at war. Because, you know, they can rampage on some Austrian territory or something along those lines. But yeah, before they go to war, that's not going to be too pleasant. I can't actually go to war with Austria on my own. I can declare war on Hungary or Venice or something in the Papal States. Those might not be bad options, but I need a military first, so I built that up. We're back around to the beginning. I think this is a good time to load up. I'm beginning to feel kind of the nausea of hunger, which is this weird sort of thing. Like I get dizzy and my stomach feels ill, and it's the coffee. And I know that I need to eat something, but I'm not actually hungry. I just feel dizzy, and it'll eventually pass. I shouldn't be drinking coffee is really the issue. But anyway, I think this is a good time to load this one up. The video's gone way too long because of my complaints and my other issues in play, but that's okay.